Tonight, the city of Lagos waits agog as all routes
Be the first to know. From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
One Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are Core TV News.
Welcome to Core TV News.
24-hour news station.
Good morning and welcome to Core Digest. I am Martins Dixon. This is where we discuss current issues that are making headlines or are at the top of the stories around the country. And today we will be discussing the OSUN governorship election. We'll be looking at the pain, the gain, and the lessons from that governorship election that has just concluded in OSUN State. And I have here in the studio some gentlemen who are going to help us out with the details and discussions that is centered around the lessons, the gain, and the pain that should be learned from the OSUN governorship election. And I have Dr. Ola Olatuji. He is a chief lecturer with the Lagos State Polytechnic and an honorary lecturer with the Swansea University in United Kingdom, a political sociologist. Welcome to Core Digest. And I also have Sylvester Olawumi, a public affairs analyst. We welcome to Core Digest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here. I will start with Dr. Ola. And maybe from a general overview, can you just tell us what you've seen and how the OSUN governorship election went? It was just concluded on Saturday.
Oh, thank you very much. From my own understanding and perspective, I can see that Nigerians will start having some element of trust in the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Initially, people thought that INEC would be biased against opposition parties. And then they've been able to show to some extent that INEC can organize a free and fair elections in Nigeria, despite the fact that the federal government, with the massive military mobilization into Osun State, the people of Osun State still trooped out to vote for the candidates of their choice, and who happened to be Aregbesola, the APC candidate and the sitting governor. Unlike what we witnessed in Ekiti State, where the APC, the sitting government, lost to PDP, and the people were saying that it was being rigged here and there. Then now, INEC has proved to Nigerians that the results being declared so far are the yearnings of the electorates in the two states. So that's what I can say for now.
All right, Sylvester, let's take a cue from what Ola just said. And looking at INEC's performance generally, the Professor Jega, who is heading that INEC, said before the election that OSUN governorship election cannot be rigged. Will you say that that statement has been justified in this election?
Well, I said the statement has been justified, and my own general overview is to praise INEC, to praise the electorate, and to also praise the contest. I praise also the security forces. I praise everybody. I think we have shown maturity. OSUN has shown maturity. They are showing us the way that it looks like Nigeria is arriving when it comes to a matter of election. I think I praise all of them.
All right, let's go a little bit away from this. We'll take one of the reports that came from OSUN State from one of our reporters, and let's see the situation that was there during the counting and at the end of the election, how the results were presented and what the reaction of the people there is. So we'll take a report from one of our correspondents, Rashid, that was in OSUN.
Result is coming.
Those were the voices of journalists who have waited all night long for the result of the OSUN State governorship election to be announced. The waiting game soon came to an end as the INEC returning officer and vice chancellor of Obafemi Awolowo University, Bamitale Omole, finally announced the result.
Obeni Rauf A. Aregbesola of APC having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Thank you.
Not able to hide his joy, the Commissioner for Information in Osun State, among other joyous APC leaders, expressed gratitude to God and the people of the state for the overwhelming votes.
We want to appreciate the good people of the state of Osun for the confidence they have reposed in our governor, when Abraham and our party APC, and for weathering the storm of intimidation and harassment from the hordes of military operatives sent to the state of Osun. And now that we are finally close to victory, we want to promise the people of the state of Osun that the good works which we have been doing in the past 45 months, we are going to continue it.
Various party leaders endorsed the report, and in the words of Wahid Lawal, all hands must be on deck to take Osun to the next level, irrespective of party affiliation.
Olympic is a game that you have to participate. Not everybody will win. Definitely, a party will surely win. All of us should cooperate with the party and move the state forward. The state belongs to all of us, irrespective of our political party affiliation. We are all a stakeholder in the project Osun.
Even observers pointed at some electoral flaws. They, however, gave the conduct and the result a clean bill of health.
There has been a few scattered cases of people not finding their names on the ballot, rather on the voters register. It's a few scattered ones, and I feel strongly that INEC themselves have recognized it. To a very large extent, it is simply the will of the people, the will of the youths of the state to say, this is who we want in power. This is the kind of person, this is the kind of role model we prefer, and this is whatever we will do. We will go out en masse and vote as much as possible and give our mandate to this man.
And that was the report from one of our correspondents, Rashid, on the declaration and then the views of the people there. Now, and we'll still center around INEC's conduct of this election. Now, let's make a little comparison from what happened in Ekiti and Osun. Now, the conduct of the election by INEC, what have you deduced from the way the two elections were conducted?
Well, honestly speaking, I think INEC has remained consistent with their conduct when you compare the two states. What the gentleman that spoke last about people not finding their names on the voters register could not be regarded as an intentional act on the part of INEC. Rather, some administrative lapses, which INEC always tried as much as possible to identify and rectify at the same time. So I think they have improved. Ekiti, we don't have so much noise about INEC not living up to expectations, except that the APC came up that maybe there was a master rigging plan by PDP using certificated ballot papers, that something will disappear, that some printed ballot papers were stored in a box or something like that. But nobody has come up to even prove some of these wild allegations. And the governor himself was magnanimous enough. I mean, fire me. I have to congratulate him, because he actually symbolized what the kind of aspirations that some Nigerians are looking for. Ability to accept defeat. The governor was the first person to accept that defeat and congratulate his opponent. So any insinuation that may be coming from any other quarter should be regarded as infinitesimal. So by the time you move that to Osun State, INEC said it, that nobody can rig or will rig Osun election. And we have not heard of any rigging from any quarter, which means INEC has been able to improve beyond what they used to be at the initial stage.
All right. As a public affairs analyst, Sylvester, I'm sure you have gone through the election have observed what has been happening, would you say that INEC has really improved, just like Dr. Ola said here?
From state to state, from election to election, INEC has tried to improve. The contestants at this OSUN state, they themselves agree there can't be 100% perfect election. There can be. There has not been that experience, that 100% perfect. But there has been a very high mark on the part of INEC. They have always tried as much as possible to remain as a fair umpire. And they continue to tell us they will never move back. And we haven't seen them wavering. Our attitude generally in Nigeria and in Africa, once we lose, if we look for who to put the blame on and we can't see, we say it's the devil. That's the last resort. So we never take things as they come and use the experience. So there is no way that a loser will not find somebody to place the problem or his problem on. And I think that's what has been happening in our election. But for INEC, they have always remained consistent in being fair umpire. And they have been always they have been sticklers to truth. They will tell you this is what is going to happen. They will improve. They will put all that is necessary on ground to show that at their own end, there's no problem. You can put problem on security, that's not INEC's problem. You can put it on the other party, it's not INEC's problem. But on INEC, they have tried as much as possible to be fair umpire. And I congratulate them for that.
Now, the independency of INEC has been a contentious issue. Now, which a lot of Nigerians have said there has been some kind of interference from the federal government. Would you not say we are seeing an independent INEC?
Right from the introduction of JEGA into the system, the president said at that time that he actually looks for somebody that cannot be influenced even by him. And he got JEGA. And people who know the antecedents of JEGA will know that JEGA is not a person you can just push anyhow. And if you see what he has tried to do, unlike it used to be before, he will bring the academics into these INEC something who also cannot be bought for anything. And that's why you have professors, vice chancellors, they are the people that are there. So they are not people who you can just buy for petty local. It's not possible. So I want to say he has remained as much as possible independent of the government. No matter how highly placed, these are people you can't just push around. These are the people you can't force your own opinion down their throat. They won't take it like that. They are from the academics. And they know what they will face if they mess up. Even from their students. They know they can't go back to campuses if they mess up. So INEC has tried as much as possible to be independent, no matter whether the government is funding them or not. They have tried. I'm impressed, personally.
All right, let's look at the OSUN conduct number. And we're still on INEC and look at everything that has transpired. Now, the independency of INEC will still dwell on that particular issue. Mm-hmm. How much independence have INEC showed? The militarization was said in a way that the outcry before the election was that militarization was to aid INEC to rig the election in favor of one particular party. But now what we are seeing is a little bit different. Would you say that INEC has actually tried to conduct itself independent of the other arms of government that were also involved in the election?
Honestly speaking, as my colleague has said here, the antecedent of Professor Atahiru Jega speaks volume for him. INEC did not start this independence with OSUN state election or Ekiti state election. Jega started with an in-house cleaning within INEC itself, within the commission. Federal government will not just come and influence directly like that. They will use personnel. And one thing I observed that Jega did when he got there was to remove some contaminated personnel of the commission. He relegated some to the background, and he totally removed, disengaged some of them, and brought up fresh hands. Today, he's getting the results. And then the issue of militarization is just a beer parlor analysis or roadside argument for you to say because they moved military personnel into a territory where the election will take place means that they did that in order to support INEC to rig an election in favor of a political party. You have to take into consideration, elections will never be rigged by INEC for anybody. It is the political parties that will plan to rig elections by themselves. They all put in place some rigging strategies with the connivance of some electoral officers. INEC on its own cannot independently rig elections. It is the political party that will rig with the connivance of INEC. But now you are now having people that are accountable to somebody, people that are afraid of somebody, now manning or managing the affairs of the elections at the grassroots. That is where the issue of bringing in the intellectuals, professors, lecturers from various campuses to come and partake and participate in the electoral processes. That one is giving Jaga an upper hand. I would say, bringing in the military or the police is to provide a conducive environment for genuine voters to be able to move freely. Left alone, these politicians can do anything to manipulate. We have not heard of ballot boxes snatching, either in Ekiti. We didn't hear that of Ekiti. We didn't hear that in OSUN. But if the security personnel were not on ground, perhaps that could have happened. We all saw the 2003 election, 1999 or 2007 elections, where cases of ballot boxes snatchings were rampant all over the state of federation. But with the presence of these military people, the Nigerian police force cannot do it alone. They can't. They still need the support of other members of the armed forces. And I believe that was why the federal government moved, not for INEC, but for everybody that will be involved in that election, both INEC and the voters. And then we saw the way the voters trooped out in OSUN. Initially in Ekiti, they said that some people were afraid because they've never seen that kind of a thing before. There's always a beginning. Now they've seen it in Ekiti. They now saw that these military people did not come in order to rig election in favor of anybody, or in order to support INEC to rig election for anybody. Rather, they only came to provide that atmosphere, conducive atmosphere, whereby the ordinary voters will go about their normal voting business without intimidation, without harassment from party talks or party agents all over.
All right, we'll get back to this security issue, but let me ask you this question, that's Sylvester. What lessons will INEC draw, or Nigerians draw from OSUN election? You just said earlier that there's no 100% perfect election, which has been attributed by all. Now, are there lessons that should be drawn from the conduct of the election by INEC in OSUN?
Yes. The lesson, which I said gradually they have been coming up, one of it is that if they remain consistent and independent, they will always have their work well done in Nigeria election. If they cooperate with all the arms, that is, they are non-partisan to the contestants, and they also do not unnecessarily take side with the federal government. If they show support for one, then they will lose it. So they should learn that being consistent with their independence will continue to make their mark improve.
Now, apart from independence, are there other areas that lessons should be learned? The permanent voters card has been a debatable issue before the election, where there was so much outcry. Particularly a political party said its members were not allowed to get their permanent voters card. At a point, on the eve, close to the eve of the election, there were outcries that the serial numbers of the voters' cards that were not collected should be made public.
That's right.
Now, what lessons should INEC draw such that probably in the next elections, these issues should not come up, especially with the permanent voters' card?
Now, they did a lot of educating the electorates and also the contestants and also the party stalwarts in this OSUN. They did it very much better than what they have been doing. So if they continue educating like that, there wouldn't have been suspicion that is a card that when you turn print, it will default into another. No. So they should be clear. They should come out and let people see. They should be transparent in their preparation and arrangement for elections. Once they are transparent, they should learn from that there will be no suspicion that cannot be explained even by a street person to tell them this can't happen. Some of us knew this. Well, science with what is going on now, ICT with what is going on now, nothing is impossible. But if they can explain what situation they are in to all the contestants before the election, there will be no suspicion like that. And nobody will think they are favoring one person or the other. So education, voters' education is very important. Contestants' education is very important. Party education is very important. In this OSUN election, I saw that Gega and INEC, they did it he was actually present in some himself to explain things, to explain the procedure, the processes to them, what step they would take. Then he sent his Rex round also to explain to people what will happen. They did it very well. So they should continue voters' education and educating on voting.
All right, on voters' education, a few weeks before the OSUN election, Jega said an area where INEC is lacking is actually in voter education. Okay, and he made that statement public a few weeks before that election. What should INEC do to be able to have an effective voter education in Nigeria?
You see, INEC has an Institute of Electoral Studies, which is supposed to be handling this voters' education assignment for INEC. I think that institute is supposed to be fortified so that they can have a robust synergy with the political parties. Because when you talk of voters' education, the political parties must be involved. Not every voter on the street that will be educated by this institute by INEC. Political parties must be involved, the party leaders. INEC should find a way through that Institute of Electoral Studies being headed by Professor Abubakar Momo, that let all the political parties be constantly be educated, not once in a while. They are having one very soon, maybe in the next 3 or 4 days, they'll be having one where they ask political parties to nominate 5 trainers workshop. Such training workshop should not be left for UNDP or whatever to be sponsored. INEC itself should provide funds for that education, sufficient funds for voters, not only for voters' card or election. Voters' education requires sufficient funds so that the institute can constantly organize training, workshops, conferences, seminars for the political party leaders, whereby they can go back and train their people. And then 2, let me quickly add this in terms of what INEC is supposed to learn from this election.
Yeah.
I think early preparation is very, very important. They should not wait till the last minute. Okay, thank God that about 997 or 917,000 voters registered in OSUN. And then Arabia scored 3,000 plus. Omishori scored 200 something plus. Then let's add those fringe votes. At the end of the day, we'll be having about close to 700 and something votes. At least out of 917 voters that registered in OSUN. It's a good mark. But what do we need to do now to attract those voters that are still out there, 200 and something thousand voters to participate in the election? This is where INEC needs to at least fortify that institute so that public awareness, like we used to have during MAMSA of Babangida, which Professor Jerry Gana was going about. They're supposed to have a unit like that. They'll be moving from hamlet to hamlet, from town to town, to educate, mass education, in addition to whatever the Institute of Electoral Studies.
Should that be, quickly before we take our first break, should that be the responsibility of INEC or the responsibility of the orientation agency?
They need to work together. There should be an interagency. It all depends. The orientation agency can handle that on behalf of INEC, but INEC needs to work fully. Exactly. There should be a synergy between the orientation agency, INEC, and the institute, so that ordinary Nigerians will know what is our right is at the end of the day.
Okay, we'll be taking a break now, but before we take that break, Sylvester, quickly in a sentence, over 1 million people registered for that election, 900 plus, we got their permanent voters cards. Now, do you think that should happen again, or what should be done to avoid that? So that each and every person that registered should have a permanent voters card.
My colleague has just said we need to educate them more so that people can feel free. Then we need to do less of intimidation. The early preparation, I don't think they are not preparing early. They are preparing early, but to bring it out, if you bring it out too early, it will be faulty.
All right. Let me cut you here because we'll have to take a break to take the news on the hour, and then we'll be back. Viewers, it's been Core Digest, and we're looking at the OSUN governorship election. We're looking at the lessons that should be drawn from that election. We'll take news on the hour, and then we'll be back to continue discussions. When we come back, we'll give you the opportunity to call in and also make your contributions in this program. Please don't go away. Stay with us.
You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then news. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.